What is going on, everybody? Dan with Gear Focus here, and today we are comparing the EF and the RF versions of Canon's 24-105 f4. Now, the EF version can be found online for anywhere between $500 and $700 in the used market, and the RF version retails at about $1,200 brand new. So is the RF worth it over the EF? Let's dive in and take a look. First, let's take a look at the physical differences of the lenses. The EF version clocks in at 665 grams and is 3.28 inches wide by 4.49 inches long. At full extension, it is 5.77 inches long. If you couple that with the EF to RF adapter, you're looking at an overall length of 5.39 inches long and an overall weight of 770 grams. Now moving over to the RF lens, it clocks in at 700 grams, 4.29 inches long, 3.29 inches wide, and at full extension it is 6.26 inches long. An additional feature that comes standard on all RF lenses is the programmable control ring, which can be set to do a number of different functions. I have it set to do ISO on my EOS R. So now let's take a look at the performance side of the lenses, first taking a look at sharpness. We're going to be using the sharpness charts from thedigitalpicture.com. They have a better baseline than I could ever do, so it's going to be more accurate. First, let's look at the EF lens. At wide open at f4, we get a pretty good center sharpness, but you'll see here as we move towards the edge that we lose some of that sharpness and get some pretty significant purple fringing. If we stop down to f5.6, you can see that we regain some of that sharpness, but the fringing still remains. Now moving over to the RF lens, again, great sharpness at the center at f4, but again, as we move towards the edge, we lose a lot of that sharpness. And we also get some green fringing at the edge on the RF lens. Stopping down to f5.6, again, we regain some of that sharpness back, but again, the fringing still remains. And comparing our edge focus at f5.6, we see some pretty comparable sharpness, but better fringing on the RF lens. But let's talk about what that means in a practical setting. My office mate Jeremy let me take a few photos of him to compare both of these lenses. So here on this wide shot, we have a silhouette of Jeremy. Even if we zoom in at 8.5 times, we still maintain great sharpness, and it's tough to see any fringing on the edges. Looking at pretty much the same shot on the RF lens, again, we have great sharpness even at 8.5 times zoom. However, there is a little bit of green fringing on his hair. This close-up shot is really where we see the RF lens shine. First, the EF shot looks great, but switching to the RF, we see a whole lot more detail come through. Lastly, I wanted to show you guys this unedited brick shot because you can really see the fringing difference here. On the EF, we see a bit of a purple shift and a fringe on the window. However, over on the RF lens, we don't see nearly any fringing. Now let's talk about the autofocus performance. One thing I have to give Canon huge credit for is their EF to RF adapter. It makes the EF lenses work absolutely flawlessly on the mirrorless lineup of cameras. And because of that, it breathes new life into your EF lenses. However, the RF lenses do have different autofocus motors in them, and I have found them to be a little bit faster and slightly more accurate. Lastly, let's take a look at the optical image stabilization of these lenses. I've always been really impressed with Canon's optical image stabilization systems, and these two lenses are no different. One of the biggest benefits of optical image stabilization is it can be used regardless of whether the camera has IBIS in it or not. This has been a really big advantage for me when using my cinema rigs like my Blackmagic or a Red Komodo. I've been able to get almost gimbal-like shots while shooting handheld with these lenses. So is it worth it to get the RF version over the EF? In my opinion, probably not. The performance of these lenses is very, very similar, and you can save a couple $100s by purchasing a used EF version. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for this video today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking around to the end. Let me know down in those comments whether or not you'd be picking up the RF or the EF version of the 24-105. And while you're down there, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. That stuff really does make a difference to us here on the channel. Thank you for getting us to 10,000 subscribers. That's a huge milestone for us, and we couldn't have done it without all of you. That's it for me today. I will see you in the next video. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and remember, Gear Focus is always here to help you feed your passion.